Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 285 of the Ron and Brian podcast, the last Ron and Brian podcast of 2023, as we are now just a mere 4 hours away from the new year. Brian, it's been a couple of weeks. We took off for the Christmas Eve weekend, so it's been 2 weeks since our last episode. How the hell are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Ron. I am doing splendid. Listen, New Year's Eve, this has always been the most important holiday for me. A lot of people say for them it's Christmas or Thanksgiving. Others say it's Veterans Day or Juneteenth, while still yet others will sit there and say that it is Diwali or perhaps Memorial Day or President's Day or anywho. But New Year's Eve is always it's the way I look at it is this. It is the ultimate turning of the page, looking at a fresh sheet of paper and saying, what will the new year bring me? We still have a few hours left in 2023 to accomplish some of our resolutions that we jotted down 12 months ago. I'm not ready to give up yet. I think I'm going to hit the gym at least once this year. Still got a couple hours. May happen. May not. We'll see. Just had a gigantic meal, heavy pot roast. Feeling that it's just something's going to happen in the next 4 hours. But just excited that I will spend one of my final hours of 2023 looking at you, Ron.
Well, it's the feeling is mutual. Not only getting to look at you, but getting to spend with our friends, you, the members of the audience. We appreciate you joining us for all of these 285 episodes, with at least 285 more to come in the following years. Would you agree, Brian?
Absolutely. We're not quitting. Everyone
showing no sign of slowing down.
So many people. Well, actually, we slowed down last week by not doing an episode. Those were the holidays. It was a sacrifice that you and I were willing to make so that everybody was able to spend Christmas Eve with their families and loved ones. And I don't think we got enough credit for that. Some people, I heard some grumblings over on the in the Discord, and also on the Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit was Reddit is tough in general, but even more so last week.
There were some accusations that we were taking the week off just because we were being lazy, but that's not the case. It was, we were sacrificing an episode so that our fans across the world could spend Christmas Eve with their loved ones.
There you go. Well, let's give the fans what they want, and what they want, Brian, is drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Sláinte.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
So, Brian, what is your final drink of the week for 2024? Our year of the Lord.
Maybe your Lord. I like the Antichrist. I'm going with a beer that it was just recently smuggled through U.S. Customs. Hobgoblin Ruby Ale. That's right, Ron. I decided that no American beer would be good enough for me this week. So this week, I'm drinking Legendary. This distinct ruby beer, sweet caramel. Hold on, let me show this to you so you can see exactly how dark we're going this week.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Sweet caramel, fruity aromas. It teases the taste buds, brewed with smooth and rich chocolate and crystal malts with a blend of Fuggles and Styrian Golding hops. Bet you never had those fucking hops. Hey, Ron. Expect a delicious, full-bodied toffee flavor with a fruity finish of figs, raisins, and dates. Hobgoblin. Born different.
It's like fruitcake in a cup almost. Not only in a cup, but in a custom Ron and Brian podcast glass. How is that, Brian?
Wasn't that your nickname in college, fruitcake?
Not nice. It's hurtful. Hurtful on this final day of the year. I mean, we're just 3 hours and 55 minutes away from the new year, and you're being hurtful.
This is a delicious beverage. God damn, right. I'm going to love this. I'm loving this beer. Thank God it comes in this gigantic It's going to be in milliliters, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you how much. It's 500 milliliters, Ron. They don't even do the metric system here. We don't even understand it. Don't even understand it. Hobgoblin.
Couldn't even tell you what that equates to.
Thank you to friend of the show, James Kearns, for making this recommendation. We appreciate it.
All right. Very nice.
Ron.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes, sir.
Ron.
My friend, what can I do for you? So I went across the pond also for my final drink of the week to celebrate the year, to celebrate the podcast, but more importantly, Brian, to celebrate friendship. It's a little Macallan 12. Normally, you are the whiskey drinker, but this is obviously a Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, exclusively matured and selected sherry oak cask from Jerez, Spain. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. You are the Spanish master there. Broke out the big rock, the big globe, which chills it nicely, and so having a decent size pour of the Macallan 12.
Ron, we call that a home pour. You're not going to get a pour like that in a bar.
Macallan 12 as well as I do. It's a great bottle. It's smooth. You get that taste of caramel on the tongue. Just very good stuff here. Hold on.
Do another one. Do another one.
So, you gotta be drunk by midnight. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, you are getting a good rush in because that's going to happen.
So we're getting word that 500 milliliters is 16 ounces, but that looks bigger than a 16-ounce bottle.
Well, it's certainly not a 12. I would say it's probably close to 16.
All right.
But it's good. And it's really tasty. So I think I wish I had smuggled in a couple more of these. By the way, it's actually 16.907. So using current mathematics, we would round that up to 17 ounces. But I'm going to say this. As somebody who has recently traveled internationally, it is shockingly easy to go through customs. You've traveled? You've taken the lady on some very fantastical international trips this year. Did anybody go through your bags?
No. So basically, and again, maybe it's because we checked our bags, but even the carry-ons, they didn't really seem concerned over. I think it's because they really, it used to be a much lower dollar amount that you could bring into the country before having to declare it. And they raised that amount. I want to say it's in the thousands now. It's a ridiculous amount that you have to claim coming through. Yeah. And I think they never really did a great job of checking it. I will tell you, in the late 90s, I was coming back from Cancun and these two women were in front of me and they had stopped at the duty-free shop at the airport. And they literally had two sacks with handles of alcohol, at least 3 or 4 in each bag. And the customs officer sees them carrying these bags and says to them, "Ladies, anything to declare today?" And they both looked him dead in his eyes, right in his ocular cavities, and said, "Nope, nothing to declare." And he just waved him through.
That's the way to do it.
In the meantime, I brought back a Cuban cigar and took the pains of wrapping it in 5 layers of clothing and sticking it in the middle of my luggage to get it into the country when I could have just literally been smoking it and walking through customs.
Correct. You could have been smoking it arm in arm with Fidel Castro and wave to the customs agent. Yeah, I was literally surprised that that as you are after you pick up your luggage, you go through immigration, and it is there is nobody stopping you. There's not even a line. I remember the first time I went international. I guess that was when I went to Acapulco. I remember coming back there. Literally, you had to wait on a line. And they were going through most people's bags, but now I could have walked in with a frightening amount of drugs, which I really think nowadays is really what they're trying to stop more than money or anything else.
They've really monetized the security level at the airports. You can pay for TSA pre-check, which is an amazing investment, or Clear. I think they both do the same thing, except Clear, you can use Yankee Stadium and whatnot. And you have the World Travel Pass, which is TSA pre-check internationally, which I believe you have, correct?
It's called global entry here. That's what
Right.
it's called. I will say this to you. When we got off the plane in lovely, lovely Newark, New Jersey, thanks to those kind folks at United for flying us back and across the pond. When we got into the immigration run by our great friends over at the TSA, we were looking at probably an hour and a half line, regardless of whether you had an American passport or were coming from as a tourist with a foreigner's passport. There was a one sign said global entry. Literally, we followed it, turned around to go into that line, 2 people.
Yeah.
We were out within, I would say, 4 minutes, while we had heard somebody else say that this line was somewhere between 60 to 90 minutes for non-global entry. So people, I think it's $100 for a couple years. As long as you've not committed crimes or whatnot, and you do plan on going international, please do yourself a favor, get global entry.
Yeah, I mean, even and Billy says you could use Clear to get into Madison Square Garden. I don't think it's worth paying for since I don't do lots of travel. I will tell you, it is what TSA pre-check is 5 years for $85.
TSA, yeah, I think it's definitely that. But TSA is for domestic travel.
Right.
There's no reason not to do it. There's
Like
no
if you take
reason not to
one
do it.
trip, if you take one
Mhm.
trip every year, like
Yeah.
there is in Philly Airport, there is one security area in Terminal C that's just TSA pre-check. And if like you
Sure.
go to Terminal A, Terminal B, it's a shit show. Even if I'm flying on a Terminal A, I will go to Terminal C. I will walk through security in 5 minutes and then just walk over to Terminal
Can we talk white suburban privilege for a moment? Because Ron, TSA pre-check and global entry, those are for people who have never committed a crime before, who have never had instances in the law, never smuggled drugs or whatnot. Not everybody has lived such a privileged existence as you have. Maybe some of us have had some run-ins with the law. Maybe we don't have the option to do TSA pre-check. Maybe the government wants to go through our stuff.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I mean, you're traveling with 2 fleshlights usually, so I can understand why the government would want to go through your bags. I get it. In the meantime, let's not dilly-dally. Let's get to beef of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
First, my hair. I mean, Jesus, I need a haircut. I will be getting a haircut on Tuesday when I go back to work because I like to. Ooh, something just came flying out of my head as I went like a little piece of dust or something. I was supposed to get a haircut last week. Didn't happen. What is my beef of the week is this is going to sound self-serving, and I do not want it to come across that way. It is people this week who don't remember that we have a web store. I know that we talk about it, but still today, some people do not know that we're selling merch. If you go to our website, ronandbrianpodcast.com, click on the link in the upper right-hand corner. Not the one that says become a patron, but if you want to, you can go there. But click the one that says store. I traveled overseas last week. Literally was bombarded in, wherever I went in London, whether I was in Piccadilly Circle, whether I was in Canary Wharf, depending on how people would sit there and be like, "Are you Brian from the Ron and Brian podcast?" I was like, yes, please, I'll sign. And as I would sign, they'd be like, "Listen, we want merch." I was like, "What are you talking about? We want merch. We have merch.
Right.
Go to the web store. We have shot glasses. Look at these lovely shot. Look at that. These things don't break.
Quality.
You want a lapel pin? People have said, "Oh, I would love a lapel pin to just show just how much I love the show." Here you go. Ron lapel pin. This is Coffee Nook Ron lapel pin. But you want more Ron? Oh, that's right. We got more Ron. We have corporate Ron headshot magnets. How many do you want? We've got a whole slew of them. Look at this. Look at this beautiful. Ooh, we got so many Ron. By the way, I have one of these in my office. So that when I do a Microsoft Teams call in the background, you see the number of people in my office are like, "Who's that behind you up on the wall?" I'm like, That's my friend Ron. And I pulled this up. It's wonderful. You want a keychain? People, we've got keychains. These are all on our web store. Feel free. Some people want to wear these as earrings. You know, people in the aisles who are like, ooh, la, la, la. But what else do we have? We've got stickers, more stickers than you know what to do with. Somewhere down here, we even have magnets. Look at this. Magnets. We have coasters. I think those were limited edition. We should be running them. And we have hats also. We have hats. So I don't want to hear people coming up to me saying, I want to buy some merch. I want to support the Ron and Brian podcast. How do I get some Ron and Brian podcast swag? I just don't know what to do. Go to our website, ronandbrianpodcast.com/store. You can purchase your goods right there. That's my beef of the week.
All right. And
also, we have limited edition. These we sold out of very quickly. If you missed the opportunity to get your Ron and Brian podcast drink of the week pint glass, you missed out on that.
Get on it. Well, we could probably do a special order at some point if there's enough
nice.
If there's enough demand for it, to say the least.
Fucking good beer, Ron.
Yes.
What's bothering you?
So my beef this week is with my local Facebook Pay It Forward page. As you know, you and I are both very, I would say, generous to a fault, benevolent, kind. You know, we give until it hurts. One project that we have been working on this past week is cleaning up. I cleaned up my office. It's much neater in here. We cleaned out the basement. We cleaned out a lot of the storage areas. We had a lot of stuff that we just weren't using anymore. So we said, somebody can get use out of this material, whatever it is, and just try to give it away. And so you put up a post and, you know, people say, oh, I'll come pick it up. And then you say, all right, it's going to be out waiting for you. And they never come pick it up. And so, I had to go to work today. I didn't realize I had to work today. And then it's like, just the simple process of trying to give free stuff away over the last few days was almost a full-time job. And so what ends up happening? Stuff just ends up getting thrown away anyway, because people claim stuff and then never come get it. So that's my beef, Brian, is if you're gonna get something from Pay It Forward, Brian, make sure you actually go get it.
Now, when you deeper sip, my friend.
I'm good. I'm pacing myself.
Don't pace yourself. Let's have a sloppy. I want to see you black out. I want Ron blacked out. When was the last time you blacked out?
Probably vacation. When we were down in Punta Cana. That was, there was some drinking going on.
Really? Well done, my friend. Well done. I was going to say, I've had some good experiences with my local Buy Nothing, Pay It Forward group. I've given away a couple of things recently, some moving materials.
Okay.
The lady and I recently relocated ourselves to lovely Bergen County, Hudson County. I know Billy's going to correct me because it's not going to be pretty. But we had tons of packing materials and whatnot that I put up on the my local group. Immediately the number of people reaching out to say, "Oh, can I help?" Recently gave away an air fryer. Had a very small personal size. I had a personal size air fryer. Worked great just for me. But now that I'm with the lady, we wanted to kind of expand. So we upgraded on Black Friday and got one of those horizontal. I mean, it's not one of those bougie ones, which has the camera inside and the screen on the outside. So you can actually watch your bacon cook using just electronic. I mean, we don't need that kind of level. But so I gave that away. People very interested showed up and picked it up. So it is a good feeling not to throw stuff out for no reason, but to pass it on to somebody else. It's a shame that people in your area are not picking stuff up. However, I would say if I also lived in the same area where Bill Cosby was prowling, doing his prowling, I would be afraid of taking anything anybody in that area was just handing off to me because I'd be a little nervous.
I will say, somebody had listed something on Pay It Forward, and it made me think of you. It was, I want to say, it was like a new pack of like pancake mix, and they were like,
Okay.
"Oh, just made a batch of pancakes," and yeah, it wasn't a huge fan of. It was like it was. Forget what the brand was, but they were like, "Oh, didn't quite like it." So who wants this open box of pancake mix? And I automatically thought back to you, and I'm like, this person's trying to kill us. Like 100%. I guarantee you, half
Yes.
that box is rat poison.
Yeah. No, you'd be insane to take that. Absolutely insane.
I
Insane.
I'm sure, like, and some people are like, "Hey, I love pancakes. Let me go get let me get the death cakes off of you."
You don't like them that much. Ron, moving
Yeah.
on. How was your Christmas?
It was good. We spent some time with my in-laws. My father-in-law turned 87 on Christmas Day, so
It's a
happy
big number.
birthday to him. And then spent Christmas Day also with my wife's extended family. My wife and I actually exchanged stockings this year. We haven't really done Christmas gifts the last few years because we've been spending money on the house, and that's kind of been
Mhm.
our gift. But we did gifts for each other this year, so it was
And
nice.
what were they? What did you get? What did you get, Mrs. Ron?
The big gift, my wife has officially become a Philadelphia Eagles fan because she's a fan of the Kelsey brothers and she doesn't want to root for the
Okay.
Chiefs. So I got her a Jason Kelsey, Kelly Green Philadelphia Eagles jersey, which she wore
Nice.
earlier today for the Eagles game.
Yes, and I'm sure she was, very happy. I'm sure she stressed out a lot during that game, and I'm sure it was just filled with lots of ups and downs. But I'm glad she wore that shirt.
She collects glass Christmas tree ornaments, so I got a couple of
Mhm.
those for her. What else did I get her? Got her a desk calendar. Did not buy her a parking spot. She's fully remote, and she has one prepaid, I think, from a couple of years ago. So
Mhm.
yeah, so
Mhm.
it was nice. Nothing huge, but she liked the jersey.
Good, very nice, very nice. And
Yeah.
what did she get you?
A lot of clothing. So some button-down shirts. Trying to think if she got me anything other than clothing, but I think it was clothing, underwear, slippers. She, from the great Dave Hill, got the Dangerous Snakes Who Hate Bullshit T-shirt from the Dave Hill store. This is a very quality. We should
Okay.
talk to Dave about his clothing supplier because this is a quality T-shirt right here. So yeah, just nothing crazy, nothing out of
Mhm.
the ordinary, but just like I said, just something to say that we would think of each other.
Aw.
What about you? How was your holidays?
My lady took me to London. That's right, Ron.
Ooh,
Went to go spend some time. I'm going to say this to you. It did not feel as I was expecting like a little Christmas town. I was expecting all of London to be feeling Christmas. There was a lot of how do I put this politely? There were a lot of people who looked like they were waiting for Muhammad to show up and not Santa Claus. The number of Palestinian flags I saw flying in the streets of London rather than British flags was made me a little nervous. With this nose, you're not getting very far in unfriendly areas. I remember at one point I stopped to take a photo of a flag that was flying, and I was told very quickly by my loved one, Mrs. Bryant, to be like, I don't want to get into trouble. Please keep walking. Do not stop. Do not stop. This is not a good neighborhood. This is not a good neighborhood. Keep walking. Keep walking. I don't want to have to explain. Oh my God, we're going to get. But it was very fun. I mean, I'm going to say this. Have you ever hit that point where you've just had enough food and you actually feel like you're just done with food for a couple
oh yeah,
days, weeks,
yeah.
whatnot? I ate so much food when I was over there, and I know people trash British cuisine. I don't really, I had the traditional, Christmas roast, if you
Okay.
would. I ate a lot of food. By the time I left London, I remember Mrs. Bryan saying to me, "What do you want to do for dinner today?" And I remember saying to her, "I would be perfectly happy skipping a meal." Because I am just done with food. There's
Yeah.
nothing that makes me excited right now. I've eaten so much. I just don't want anymore. And I know one of the problems I have, which is that I don't like wasting food. So
Right.
when somebody brings out a platter, bring out a plate, I sit there and what I see is not only just the effort and the love that was put into preparing that plate, but also the cost of it. Food's not cheap during Biden economics. It's not nothing's free anymore, except if you're on getting food stamps. Which the Democrats love giving away because they want people just sucking on the government teat. Nobody wants to just pull up their bootstraps and provide for themselves anymore. But it's just we were out at a restaurant, and it was just plate after plate kept coming out, and Mrs. Bryan's mom just was like, "Here, you try this. This is we had this made for you." And I was like, "Okay, bring it on." Just profusely, you know me, I love to sweat when
Sure.
when spicy food comes out. And the thing is this also. They're all used to spicy food. Like they're not sweating at all. They're not even noticing that it's spicy. And I'm just like, am I delicious, just delicious. Like at one point I did take a napkin and I just wiped my head down with it and you could just see it soaked through. Embarrassing, just utterly embarrassing.
Should you maybe get like one of those headbands, sweatbands for your head when you eat spicy food?
Well, it'll just absorb here, but you'll still see this hit. My God, you can almost see the scalp. I'm going fucking gray. Oh, that was another thing. Listen to this one. This one hurt a lot. So I was FaceTiming with my niece yesterday, and we're just catching up. And my sister walked by in the background, and she looked and she goes, "My God, you have so much gray hair. When did that happen?" I saw her 2 months ago. I don't understand. Like she's just like, "My God, you have so much gray hair." It really kind of hurt my feelings.
She meant it with love, I'm sure.
Oh no, there was no love. No love.
Well, even more importantly than how your holidays were, Brian, what are you watching?
Oh, okay. I finished a couple shows recently.
Okay.
I finished The Crown. Remember last episode, episode 284, I bemoaned the facts that my beloved had watched 5 episodes of part 2 of season 4, 5, 6, whichever it was, the newest season of the Crown on Netflix. Not only did I catch up to her, but I made sure that we watched episodes 9 and 10 together, holding each other as we watched the series that had been going on for probably, I think, about 6 years, come to an end. Really well done. I would not describe myself as a fan of the monarchy, but I do love history and I do love tradition. So one would think that I would love a good monarchy. Just a really good show. Very well done. Also finished the new season of Slow Horses. Solid, not as good as the first 2 seasons. So if you've knocked them out, lower your expectations a little bit. But absolutely, Gary Oldman, just solid in it. Also finished the first season of, what was that show on Apple TV where they go into space? The President's Men.
For All Mankind.
For All Mankind, I was close. Finished the first season of that, really well done. I know you said it goes down in the future seasons, but I'm going to keep watching it. Yeah. Also, last night, knocked all 3 episodes of Getting Gotti on Netflix.
What'd you think of it?
Where they, I enjoyed it, having grown up in New York, where I basically, as my I grew up in a household where we watched the news every night from 5 to 7 or whatnot. You grew up with John Gotti. You just, it was impossible to go a day without hearing some story about him. So what I enjoyed the most about it was seeing all the different the local newscasts, because I would sit there, I remember that reporter. I know that guy. I remember him, Ernie Anastas. And you just sit there and it was just all these faces that you haven't seen in so many years. Really, I thought they told the story very well of his rise within the Gambino organization, and the obsession that the government had in taking him down, rightfully, wrongfully, whatnot. Although there was a couple of things they left out that I thought was actually key, which was that final trial. They had actually banned his lawyer, Cutler, from being able to defend him, saying that Cutler had been caught on, if I remember correctly, They had caught Cutler on audio tapes plotting crimes with Gotti and people, where he was caught on, the wiretaps, basically helping strategize, how something should be done to avoid, government, and they said, basically, you can't come in here and act as a, as a member of the bar, representing the law if you are breaking the law. So they basically kicked him off the defense table, forcing Gotti to use other counsel, and coincidentally, he was found guilty in that trial. They didn't mention any of that, which I thought was weird. But that's what I've been watching lately.
Very good. Well, you've been keeping up on things.
Ron?
Yes.
What are you watching?
Watching a few things. I started watching, this one's back in 2017. The series Mr. Mercedes, based on the Stephen King novel. It was on, I forget what channel it was on. It was on AT&T television. So I remember at the time I didn't have access to that channel. But I think I'm like 8 or 9 episodes through season 1. I think they did 2 seasons of it.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Whoa, time out.
Okay.
They've done 3 seasons of Mr. Mercedes?
3 seasons. So I got 2 more seasons to go. I will say they, as I said, I'm only a couple of episodes away from the end of season 1, and I don't think they're going to get to the point where the book ends, where it wraps up. So I'm kind of bummed that you say it's 3 seasons. Like, I could see there being 2 seasons of material, but 3 seems like a bit of a stretch. But we'll see.
Ron, I just finished the new book in following Holly Gibney. So I think that's the 4th book,
okay,
or 5th. I'm not sure, but I know that there were 3 books in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I think this is the 4th. You could call it a spinoff.
You could.
Had no idea that this show even existed. I will be watching it.
All right, put it on your list. Caught some
it's on
movies.
Peacock.
It's on Peacock now, yes. Watched Saltburn on Amazon Prime. So it's everyone's been talking about Saltburn. It was a lot of TikTok videos about it. Younger people watching this movie and being shocked by it. I watched it. I mean, it was good. It was a good movie. Very similar. Someone said it was very similar to The Talented Mr. Ripley, a movie I have not seen, but I'll take their word on it. But I would see where there were definitely some cringe-worthy moments in the film, but people were like filming their reactions to watching Saltburn like they were like scarred for life. And maybe it's just indicative of the media that you and I have taken in over the years. But I was like, that was kind of creepy at points, but I don't know that I was shocked at anything, but it was a good film. I will say that much. Actually went out to the movie theater to watch The Iron Claw, the film about the Von Erich family, starring Zac Efron and who's the guy from The Bear, Lip Gallagher.
The Bear. Oh, that would be that's Kerry Von Erich.
He is Kerry Von Erich in the movie. Let me see if I can find his name. Jeremy Allen White. So it was a very interesting telling of the Von Erich family story. If you're not familiar with the Von Erichs, it was a wrestling family based out of Texas. Their dad, Fritz Von Erich, was a wrestler, and then all the boys went into wrestling at various times. And there was talk of a Von Erich curse because their youngest brother, Jack Jr., passes away at the age of 5, and then David Von Erich dies of a ruptured intestine over in Japan in 1984, and then Michael, Chris, and Kerry Von Erich end up dying over the years at their own hand. So it's a tragic story. You've got 5 brothers, and at the end of the story, you just have Kevin Von Erich being the only one that's left alive. But it was, from I don't think you need to be a pro wrestling fan to watch this movie. It was a lot more wrestling heavy than I would have thought. But it tells an interesting story. The funny thing is they really play with the timeline. So you think a lot of this stuff actually takes place within like a 2 to 3 year time frame, which I think makes the story seem that much more unbelievable. Like, it's a tragic story no matter what, but the fact that it seems to be so condensed into a short period of time, I think it would have been hard to tell like the entire 25-year saga.
Sure.
But it was a decent movie, but I wanted more out of it. And the funny thing is Chris Von Erich, one of the brothers who also ends up committing suicide, not even in the movie. Like, apparently they decided there was just so much tragedy amongst David and Carrie and Michael that they just felt throwing this fifth brother in there would be overkill.
Look at that ruptured intestine, apparently, allegedly. You know who also died? You know who also had a ruptured intestine? Remember that guy that videotaped himself getting buggered by a horse? You ever see that video on the internet? This is going back like maybe, I'm going to say 15, 20 years or maybe less on the internet, maybe 10. That's probably more accurate. Remember there was a guy in Washington State who would, there was like a farm in Washington State where people would go to have sex with animals. And this guy videotaped himself having sex with the horse. And then he showed up to the hospital a couple hours later and was basically bleeding to death.
I forgot that story.
Really? How could you forget that? I'm going to look it up, but yes, keep going.
Billy's asking. He heard Lance Von Erich was cut a lot from it. He was. If you were not familiar with the character of Lance Von Erich, you would not even realize he was in the film. But no spoilers.
Here, Seattle man dies after sex with horse, 2005. So that's 19 years ago.
And finally, Brian, the last thing I watched, and I think I recommended this to you, and I recommend it to everybody out there because it is a level of insanity. It's a documentary on HBO, on Max, if you will, called "Love Has Won: The Cult of Mother God." So this is it's about a woman named Amy Carlson. She formed a religious group, as so often happens in these cult films, called Love Has Won. And so the premise of Love Has Won is that Jesus has returned to earth in the form of Amy Carlson, who no longer goes by Amy Carlson after a few years. She just goes by Mother God. And then whoever she is dating at the time becomes Father God. And there are numerous Father Gods over the years, as the documentary tells you. There are certain galactics, they call, that give her messages through her followers and who will eventually bring their spaceships to Earth to take her away and as she ascends to the next plane. Who, you may ask, Brian, are the galactics led by? None other than Robin Williams.
Ron. Who are the galactics led by?
They're led by Robin Williams, apparently. There is the comedian after he passed away. There is a scene in the documentary where someone holds up this big ass poster board and it's got a picture of Amy Carlson, Mother God, on it, and then photos of who they feel all her luminaries are. Robin Williams, of course, being one of the main ones. John Lennon's in there because John Lennon pilots all the spaceships. So all these dead celebrities. Donald Trump in there, even though he's not dead, he is apparently still a galactic, just trapped in his Earth form. So this is
lunacy, right?
This is the level of crazy that we're dealing with, and the series starts off with police finding her dead, mummified body in one of the homes that her and her followers lived in, and then they tell the story as to how it got to the point where she dies because she wasn't eating, she was drinking tons of colloidal silver because that apparently is a cure-all. But they also
time out. You said that she was drinking colloidal silver.
Colloidal silver. So that is apparently in the cult world or in the, I guess, holistic healing world, colloidal silver is a big cure-all.
Hold on a second.
No, I don't. Is there colloidal silver in your hydrogen water?
Hold on a second. Next level. Yeah, I don't know. I can't, honestly, how can anybody read this little fucking tiny little print?
Anyway, it is 3 episodes. It is the perfect length. Like there's no fucking around. It is a great, interesting docuseries. You feel bad for most of the people involved, because even though Amy Carlson has died, she still has her followers, because she didn't die, Brian. She just ascended, and when humanity gets to a point where they can't accept her, she will come back after that. But that's
horseshit, right?
It's a little bit horseshit, yes. Real quick, Janelle's asking if I've seen What If. I am way behind on my Disney Plus watching, so I need to catch up on What If season 2. I also need to catch up on Loki.
What's What If?
What If is it's a Marvel show. It's the animated Marvel show where they talk about different realities and what if, certain situations.
Is that the one where it's like, what if Brian actually watched Brockmire?
I believe that is one of the storylines. Yes.
Go for it.
But anyway, Brian, the reason I mention Love Has Won is we really need to talk about forming a cult, because they were bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue from live streams, from selling colloidal silver. They would book healing sessions. It seemed like she cherry picked from like Scientology and Twin Flames and a lot of different cults out there to just really generate a lot of cash. And so I feel like this is what it seems like, how you come up with like talking points for being a cult. It is like zealotry improv. Like you say anything you want to say, and you just rely on your followers to say yes and then it just goes on from there.
I like that.
So I think we need to think about, what kind of crazy story that we can come up with that people can relate to and believe in, and then send us money for their counseling.
Listen, I think as your champion, Ron, as your champion, I think it's only fitting that I be the cult leader.
Well, again, by the time we get this up and running, I think it'll be around Super Bowl time. So we will see, who the champion is at that point.
What does it take? What do you think how do you start off a cult?
All right. So I
know the end plan. The end plan is we take suckers' money. I get that.
Right.
How do we start? What do we
offering
the world?
I think how you start is you pick out something that is going on that is distressing people, and you give it a crazy connection as to why that's happening, and then you give them solutions to that. So, all right, let me just kind of brainstorm here. Just kind of go with me, just yes and me.
Top of the head.
So
yes.
So Brian, I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed lately in your life, in friends' lives of people out there, that people are really struggling. People are struggling more these days than they have in the past. People have less. I mean, think about it. Every generation before ours, we did better than our parents, and now we're looking at generations that are doing worse than their parents.
Sure.
And why do you think that is, Brian?
Why is this? Well,
let me ask you a question first, Brian. Are you willing to open up your mind and be open to something that might seem fantastical at first, but once you really think about it, once you really wrap your brain around it, you're going to see how all this ties together? Can you promise me that?
Of course.
All right. So, are you open to the thought that our reality, our dimension is not the only one out there that exists, Brian? I mean, can you prove that it isn't?
I can't. I mean,
all right, exactly. Exactly.
I'm listening.
So what I'd like you to think about, Brian, is the fact that there are parallel dimensions, parallel universes that run alongside of ours, and that you exist on multiple planes. What? And the more successful your alternate selves are in these other planes, the less successful you are in this plane. So they're actually these other yous are parasites. They are sucking your success out to another dimension. And you want to know why that is, Brian? You can't have that, Brian. You can't have that. Because our eyes and our minds are not open to the truth. You have other parallel dimensions where they accept the fact that there are parallel dimensions, and they have tricked us, Brian. They have put things in media. They have put things in entertainment. We think multiverses only exist in science fiction and Marvel movies and things like that. Our alternate selves
Sure.
have put those in our timeline to confuse us and steal our success away from us. So, Brian, what I would like you to do, Brian, is I'm going to give you a free consultation to
Thank you.
explain how you can rise above this and how you can steal back this energy from other dimensions. The only thing I'm going
Yes.
to ask you to do, Brian, is I'm
What
going
can
to
I
need you to
do?
talk to 5 people, and I'm going to
Of
need you
course.
to talk. Though, would you think this information would be valuable to 5 people that you know and are close with, Brian?
God, at least 5.
Exactly. Well, I'm only asking for 5 right now. I appreciate your eagerness to help. I want you to convince those 5 people to sign up for our Patreon level at $100 or higher a month. Because for that $100, I will give each of those 5 individuals personal sessions to talk about how they can steal their energy back from these other dimensions. And once you give me those 5 people, Brian, then
Yeah.
I will give you your free consultation. And granted,
Ah,
I will make the same offer to those 5 individuals. If those 5 individuals each can bring 5 individuals, 5 paying individuals to the table, I will
yeah.
give them a
Yes.
free month on the Patreon.
You're so generous. You're too
It's what we
generous.
do. It's what we do here at Love is Ron and Brian.
Love is Ron and Brian.
Love is Ron and Brian.
Ron, I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm ready to suck your dick, let alone talk to 5 people for you. I mean, that's literally the level that, I mean, I'm ready to get on my knees.
Is it the voice, Brian? Is it when I put this soothing?
Yes. Oh, no.
Calming
It's
voice
first
on?
off, you know what you're doing, Daddy. You know that you are taking it to a place where, like, I start getting a little loopy, a little weepy. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about making some decisions about my life that I really haven't thought through.
Allie asked a question. When are you not thinking about sucking me off, Brian? Is a good question.
That is a damn good question. I don't have a good answer for that because that's a daily. I would say at least 2-3 times a day.
Also valid. They said that you were going to suck me off when I opened Macallan. You had that look. You did have that look.
Oh, that Macallan.
And we can't pass up Billy's good burn on me when we were talking about Marvel's What If. What if Ron got any points in the 2023 Ron and Brian Death Pool? And it's true. I have to own up to it.
God
We are
damn it.
now just 3 hours and 12 minutes away from the new year, and I have yet to score any points in the 2023 Ron and Brian Death Pool. It's been a rough year, wagering wise for me. I can't deny that.
See, that pisses me off because I already have this lined up. I was ready to say, Ron, what do Al Roker, Barry Windham, Bob Newhart, Dick Van Dyke, Dick Vitale, Gunna, Harvey Weinstein, Jim Ross, Johnny Irwin, Kanye West, Paul Pelosi, Pooh Shiesty, Robert Plant, Shannon Doherty, Steve McMichael, Ted Nugent, Terry Bradshaw, Tim Curry, Vladimir Putin, and William Daniels. What do they all have in common?
They're all my picks, and they're all alive, Brian. They're all their hearts
alive.
Still beating in their chest. But this is just a reminder, all you folks out there, you still have a few hours left to enter in the 2024 Ron and Brian Death Pool. The links are out there. If you go to our Facebook page, if you go to our Instagram, if you go to our Twitter, the links are there. We will repost them for you. Make sure you get your entries in by the midnight tonight, December 31st. I think we have, I want to say we have 7 or 8 entries so far. Let me just check.
That's not enough.
I'll let you know. But yes, we want more. We want a competition. What are the prizes again? We do what, $100 for first place?
Yeah, $100 for first place. And then basically, Ron, you provide oral sex to whomever wins.
I don't believe, but all right. We have 8
No?
entries now so far. I have completed my entry. Brian, we still seem to be waiting on yours.
I will.
But
Just
anyone else
don't.
out there, I have not gone through the entries yet. I always like to make my picks, and I did those late last evening to make sure that there's no improprieties. But in just thumbing through some of these, I see some popular choices this year. I feel better about my picks this year than I did last year. I know I took some leaps of faith on certain people out there who somehow managed to hang for another year. Not quite sure how that happened, but we lost a few more people this year. We lost Parasite actor Lee Sun-kyun. He was found dead in a car after facing drug and gambling, or excuse me, a drug probe and a blackmail plot by a waitress. He was only 48 years old, discovered unconscious inside a car beside a charcoal briquette, which can cause carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, one thing is very true. South Korea does not fuck with drugs. It's one of the few. Think about it. It's first off, their prime minister, president, or whatever, the guy currently in power. I do not remember his name. He recently ran on a very strong anti-drug agenda. Basically, you are getting rolled up by the police for any, regardless of there's no like type 1 drug, type 2 drugs, anything is bad drugs over there. And this is weird. Weird is not really the right word here, but you can be arrested, convicted, and jailed in South Korea for doing drugs in another country. So if you are South Korean, if you are South Korean and you are traveling to the United States, where you are in the state of New York, where marijuana is considered recreational and completely legal, and you do a joint or whatnot, and you fly back to South Korea, if they can prove that you smoked marijuana while you were in New York in the United States, you can be arrested, go to trial, convicted, and you can go to prison for that, which to me, it's wild. Which I guess is the same way that Texas is trying to convict women for getting abortions outside the state of Texas. I mean, Texas is basically the South Korea now.
Right. Very similar. Very similar. Also passing away, Brian, Bill Granger, dying at the age of 54, best known as the inventor of avocado toast. His invention catapulted Australian cafe culture to international acclaim. Brian, do you like avocado toast?
I do, but I don't understand the obsession with it.
Right.
I also don't see it as a meal. I know that the millennials love having their cortados with avocado toast. I like toast. I like avocados. I like, but I don't understand. I feel it's not fulfilling enough to sit down as an entire meal.
There you go. I would agree. I like a little bit of avocado toast. Afterwards, a little too much can be excessive, and some places go over the top with what they put on there.
See, to me, a cup of coffee, 2 fried eggs, avocado toast, like one piece of toast, some avocado spread across it, maybe some Impossible sausage or Impossible bacon. So to go like as part of a full meal. Sure. I don't see just eating avocados. Like you can go for brunch on a Sunday. Oh, I'll have avocado toast, and they'll bring you 2 pieces of toast slathered in avocado. Jojo says avocados are ick. Wrong. Avocados are very good, but they're not. They're not the whole thing.
Yeah. Also passing away this week, 2-time Oscar nominee Tom Wilkinson, passing away suddenly at the age of 75, known for his roles in The Full Monty, Shakespeare in Love, The Patriot, and Batman Begins. Died at his home in the UK on Saturday. No cause of death announced just yet. And then earlier today, Brian, Three-time NASCAR champion Cale Yarborough passing away
Oh,
at the age
no.
of 84. He's considered one of NASCAR's all-time greatest drivers and the first to win 3 consecutive Cup titles. His crowning achievements include 4 Daytona 500 victories and 5 Southern 500 wins. His championships in 1976, 77, and 78 made him the only driver to win 3 straight NASCAR titles until Jimmy Johnson's run of 5 in a row. Now, Brian, you are a huge NASCAR fan. A lot of people don't realize that about you. This has to be tough. How are you feeling hearing this news earlier today?
Well, I'm grieving. I mean, I think that's the only way to put it. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, first off, I don't like making left turns. I am not a fan of a left-hand turn. I'm in a car. Sure. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. It's the driver starts to make a right-hand turn. I'm like, no. We only make left-hand turns. That's all we do. But all joking aside, it is, Carl Yarborough. The numbers he's put up in his lifetime as a driver. A lot of people don't realize, he was born March 27th in 1939. He came from humble beginnings. He started in 1963 without a full-time ride, but soon he signed on to drive the number 19 Ford for Herman Bean. I mean, listen, when we're talking Herman Bean, we know that we are talking legendary NASCAR. Began the next season. He also spent some time driving with Holman Moody down at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. He also spent some time over at Valdosta Speedway. He spent some time driving for Banjo Matthews back in 1966 when
Good old Banjo Matthews.
When he was on number 21 for the Wood Brothers. Let the boy learn. But let's never forget his first win, 1965. Last win, 1985, when he won the Miller High Life 500 in Charlotte. Over his lifetime, 83 wins, 319 top 10s, 69 times was he the pole.
Nice.
And that was just the NASCAR Cup Series. Let's not forget the NASCAR Grand National East Series when he played 7th.
This time's gotta stop.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there, but we are running up close to an hour. Billy did make a good comment. Also passing away, Masasha Ozawa, also known in pro wrestling circles as Killer Khan, passing away this weekend at the age of 76.
That's a shame. That's an absolute shame.
I
don't remember him.
We have stories of the week, Brian. We should probably get to our final stories of the week. These are stories that we want to make sure that we don't miss on. So if you don't mind, I think I should do my story first.
Go first.
I feel your story, while my story is good, I feel your story kind of tops a little bit. And I rarely say that. I rarely say that I feel topped by you, although you would like that. You've mentioned that in some journal writings and to your therapist. I understand that. But my story this week is about a New Jersey man who blamed his DWI on the fact that the Jets suck, which I know wagering-wise we have made a lot of money off of. But this gentleman, pull up his mug shot here. This is, do I have a name for him? Let's see here. Christopher Grayshock, 57 years old, of West Milford, was charged after he rear-ended another vehicle, injuring at least one woman in the process. He was charged with DWI and charged with assault by auto. Officers from the Wayne Police Department said Grayshock was, quote, staggering and swaying, unable to walk straight, in danger of falling onto the highway. Police administered a field sobriety test. He allegedly failed the test by registering a blood alcohol level of 0.13%, well above New York's legal limit of 0.08%. He said he had been drinking heavily because, well, as he said, the fact that the Jets suck.
Well, that's a shame. Not a reason.
I mean, the fact that
I mean,
the Jets went most viral recently because one of their defensive players was saying "fuck you" to multiple Browns fans
oh my
after their
God,
loss
how
on
awesome
Thursday
was
night.
that? How
One of the greatest
awesome was
videos
that?
I've seen. Like
Because
he
he
was
was
doing it in
individually
a fun
pointing at
way.
people.
He's just pointing at people and he'd be like, "No, no, not you. The guy behind you. The guy behind you. Yeah. No, fuck you. You. Yeah. Fuck you. Oh, wait. Over there. No. You. No. Right behind. Yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck you. But what was great was that they were down by like 30 points at the time. Like he was in
Right.
no place to trash talk
Right.
whatsoever. But just really well done. Really well done, my friend.
So what's your story, Brian? I've talked about
Okay.
my story, and again, it was Michael Clemens, just Michael Clemens, yelling "fuck you" many times at.
So good. Listen, my story takes us to the great state of Wisconsin. And listen, education's very important, Ron. You know that, right?
It is, yes, without a doubt.
And I think that education is a value in this country that has been lost. We seem to have prioritized in recent years how we feel as opposed to what we know. But education is something that has always been a focus in my life. And in Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin school, the system. They recently kicked out a local chancellor by the name of Joe Gow, Gow. He is the chancellor of the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. I'm going to pronounce it La Crosse. I'm not sure. It's Crosse. For all of our many French-speaking fans, if you want to correct me, please do so. But they recently let go the chancellor of this university, who had held this position since 2007. Why, you may ask? He was actually the longest tenured leader in the University of Wisconsin system. However, he was recently lost his job, fired without any due process, because it was recently acknowledged by him, by his wife, somehow connections were made, that Joe Gow and his wife, the lovely Carmen Wilson, are you familiar with Carmen Wilson?
I was not until you sent me some video clips this past week.
Video clips, you say? Yes.
Wait, wasn't that show Where in the World is Carmen Wilson?
No. This was listen, I know you love a good cooking program. You love watching people cook. But you also like sexy, healthy cooking, because cooking is not just about the calories that you take in, but it can also be sexy, but yet healthy. So Joe Gow and his wife, Carmen Wilson, here is pictured here on the screen holding a football. I'm assuming that's the school's football field. They liked to make videos online which featured them cooking in their kitchen.
Nothing wrong with that.
Why would you pick an issue with a couple married, in love with each other? Maybe is it because they decided they wanted to express their love after cooking a meal?
Perhaps.
This is where Joe Gow and his wife took it a little too far if you're living in Wisconsin, because Joe Gow and his wife, not only did they have their sexy, healthy cooking channel online, but then decided that right after they were cooking meals, they were going to start filming each other having sex and put these videos up on Pornhub, OnlyFans, and other adult websites. Which apparently, if you are a university chancellor, this is frowned upon. I don't know, Ron. Did you partake in looking at any of the videos?
I did watch the video. Again, it was listen, it was just two people expressing love for each other. She is an attractive woman. He looks disturbingly like Christopher Lloyd to me. So that kind of ruined the overall effect. But
yeah, not attractive. I didn't want to watch him have sex.
When he yelled out "Great Scott" during the cum shot, it was a bit much. It was a bit much.
Agreed. Yeah, I did not. I fast forwarded through quite a bit of it. But I actually have a real issue with people losing their jobs because of what they do outside of work. We've
Yeah,
spoken about this, especially during the BLM, troubles of 2020, when there were people protesting in the streets. A lot of good people on both sides, of that argument. But I did not. I don't believe that. I feel very strongly that you should not. Your employment should not be tied to behavior outside of that form of employment. And I
sure.
know that there's certain jobs that are going to sit there and try and sneak in a morals clause and whatnot. But I believe that if we watch the number of people who have been fired. We watch college students getting kicked off their sports teams for saying words they probably shouldn't have. It doesn't sit right with me. And Joe Gout, regardless of whether I want to watch him and his wife have sex with each other, I certainly don't understand why he is no longer eligible for performing the duties of the chancellor at the University of Wisconsin lacrosse school, simply because he likes to film himself and his wife having sex with each other.
Yeah. Again, it's they're in obviously a loving relationship, and they are fine sharing that with the public. And yeah, I agree with you. I'm not quite sure. Well, again, there are, as we have shown in some of our segments, with the drag queens are the problem. We have so
Sure.
many. We have so many teachers and school officials having sex with underage kids. You would think they would want to show off and be like, "Hey, here's our chancellor. He's having sex with his wife, who is of age."
Yeah,
Like, you would think that would
sure.
be a selling point for your school in this
Yeah.
day and time.
Exactly. He's not having sex with his students. He's not
Right.
that one just doesn't sit well with me.
One final story I wanted to try and sneak in before we finish up the year is we're going to go down to Texas, Brian, one of our favorite
Uh-oh.
states, along with Florida. This is J.D. Bales. He is a former assistant soccer coach at Bridgeport High School. He was arrested because what did he do, Brian? He went to a Houston strip club and paid for his tab with his school district credit card. He was charged with felony charges of theft of property. He went to the Men's Club of Houston and spent $5,455.81 of the district's money at a strip club while attending a coaching clinic. That right. He spent 6 times what Brian managed to spend in one night at a strip club, and got arrested for it. He was released after posting a $10,000 bond and then resigned as the middle school special education teacher. He initially told the school that the charge was fraudulent before investigators discovered evidence indicating otherwise.
Really? I
Yes.
mean, how do you talk yourself out of that one? I imagine they've got video cameras all throughout the club.
And I think in reading through the story, he also signed off on the credit card charge. So
Fucking idiot. Idiot. Never do that. Use cash. Always use cash. Just take money out. Say you lost the card. That's the move.
So he was hired in 2018 and led the school soccer team, as well as working as assistant football coach. Earlier this year in May, 6 of his soccer players were arrested over allegations of hazing other students as young as 14. The players who were arrested allegedly stripped other students of their clothing, filmed them, and made them repeat demeaning and explicit phrases. So just seeming like a real winner overall.
That's a shame. That's really bad. You know what? In that case, yeah, he does deserve. He does deserve to lose his job.
What's a shame, Brian, is that we have people out there that are still not members of our Patreon and who will not be joining us for After Dark. As we have mentioned many, many times before, right after this show is over, probably about 21 minutes from now at 9:30, we will do Ron and Brian After Dark. It is kind of the saucier stories that YouTube doesn't like us to put out there in the public domain. But you can join that for, I don't want to say for free, but it's an added benefit when you join at the bronze level or higher. Just $10 a month or higher. Don't forget, at $100 a month or higher, you get your cleansing discussion with Ron from the Love is Ron and Brian cult. I mean, Love is Ron and Brian organization.
Religion.
Sorry.
Religion.
But join us. Go to Ron and Brian podcast.com. Click on the link to become a patron. You can join us. Also go to Ron and Brian podcast.com to find our social media links. If you go to our Facebook, to our Instagram, to our Twitter, you will find the links to join the 2024 Ron and Brian Death Pool. You've got a little under 3 hours now to get your submissions in and compete for great prizes and pride. And of course, the winner does appear on the main podcast at our discretion. So be sure you get your selections in before the end.
Sure, you need to.
That McAllen 12 is kicking in, Brian. I'm finding it hard.
I love it. Let me see how much you got left.
I finished the glass. I will probably pour a little bit more for After Dark.
Isn't it so good?
So good. And you know what? It has been a while since I've had a nice glass of whiskey or bourbon, and I realized why I wait, because I can really pour some glasses and drink a lot without even really recognizing it.
Yeah, so good. All right, people. This was 2023. Ron, I could not say that it would be possible that I have loved you more this year than I have in previous years. And I'm looking forward to loving you even more in 2024.
The love is mutual. I look forward to continuing to do this. Don't forget to join us for our first episode of 2024, where we will review our predictions of 2023.
Ooh, predictions.
We will be giving our predictions for 2024, and we will be reviewing all things Ron and Brian Death Pool. Will be announcing the winners of the 2023 Death Pool, and we analyze the 2024 picks. We determine who we feel some great picks are that we may have missed, and we also lay odds as to who we feel will be in the top three come this time next year. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for making this a fantastic 2023. We wish all of you a very happy and safe New Year's Eve, and we will catch everybody next week in 2024.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.